Bernstein. She's the Vice President and Tax Counsel for the National Retail Federation. Ms. Bernstein joined NRF in 2004 following 13 years as outside tax counsel to the NRF Government Relations Department. The National Retail Federation represents an industry with more than 1.6 million U.S. retail companies and more than 25 million employees. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman, Ranking Member Shabbat, and members of the committee. I am Rachelle Bernstein, Vice President and Tax Counsel for the National Retail Federation, which is the world's largest retail trade association. NRF represents an industry with more than 1.6 million U.S. retail establishments, more than 24 million employees, about 1 in 5 American workers, and 2007 sales of $4.5 trillion. Most retailers are small businesses. 96% of retail companies have only one location. Chairwoman Velasquez, Ranking Member Shabbat, members of the committee, NRF commends you for holding this important hearing to evaluate the impact on small business of the economic stimulus package enacted earlier this year and assess the need for additional relief. Early this year, Congress and the administration worked together in a bipartisan fashion to enact economic stimulus legislation to aid a slowing economy. The NRF commends the Congress for its quick action to address the nation's economic needs. Because consumer spending represents 70% of the GDP, we believe that the tax rebate payments were particularly important. Today, we would like to share with the committee what we have learned to date about the impact of these tax rebates. In the current economy, most categories of merchandise and most types of retail outlets are struggling to achieve even modest sales increases. Tax rebate payments are providing some stimulus, but consumer spending remains subdued because of the stresses of declining home values, escalating fuel and food costs, increasing unemployment, and weak financial markets. Consumers are concentrating their spending on essentials. They are also more concerned than ever with the pricing of merchandise. Consumers are shopping more online so that they can more easily make price comparisons and also save money on gas. For small retailers, this economic climate is even more difficult than for larger retailers. Small retailers tend to compete more on service than on price. Because small retailers cannot benefit from economies of scale, they are hit harder than other merchants by rising costs, particularly the rising cost of fuel. Small retailers who do not sell their goods online are not able to take advantage of the shift to online sales. Direct deposits of tax rebate payments began the last few days of April, followed by the mailing of the rebate checks through July 11th for eligible taxpayers who filed a tax return. After a decline in retail sales in March, there has been a bump in retail sales of general merchandise for April, May, and June, which we attribute to the distribution of the tax rebate checks. The April bump in retail sales was 0.6% seasonally adjusted month to month, which was the largest month-to-month increase since November of 2007, with substantially more checks distributed in the month of May, amounting to more than $40 billion in rebates. Retail industry sales increased by 0.9%. Most of the May sales went to discounters and grocers, although some shoppers splurged on electronics and appliances. The Treasury Department distributed almost $30 billion in rebate checks in the month of June, but consumer spending remained soft, with an increase of 0.2%. Most of this increase seemed to be focused on necessities. A survey of consumers' use of tax rebate checks was performed by Big Research the week of June 3rd to 10th. As of that date, 45.3% of survey respondents had received their tax rebates. 42.9% said they used the money to purchase something. However, nearly half of that money was spent on gas or necessities such as groceries, rather than general merchandise as envisioned when the rebate check program was passed by Congress. 17.1% of the respondents initially saved their rebate money, but it appears that they may have set it aside for purchases in upcoming months. In survey findings released just this week, NRF found that 1/5 of parents nationwide have set aside a portion of their stimulus check for back-to-school purchases. Specifically, parents say they will use some of their tax rebate check to fund electronics such as computers and cell phones. Despite a more modest increase in retail sales over the last few months than was expected from the rebate checks, we believe the results are better than they would have been if Congress had not enacted these rebates. Based on the economic information that is currently available, we believe that a compelling case can be made for providing additional economic stimulus legislation. If Congress does act on a second stimulus package, we believe it should once again include relief for the consumer. Since consumer spending is the largest contributor to GDP, it is difficult to foresee an improvement in overall economic growth until consumer spending improves. Chairwoman Velasquez and members of the committee, thank you again for the opportunity to speak to you this morning. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank